Hello, this is Dave Parker on the Padilla Poll and P Squared Sports interview session with Coach Ben Cook. Coach, good to see you.
Good to see you.
Coach, you're at MacArthur, but tell us a little bit about who Ben Cook is.
Well, I grew up in Pearsall, Texas, South Texas guy. Got my start at Victoria High School with Mark Reeve back in 1996. Ended up going to New Braunfels Canyon with Carl Gustafson, stayed there for a year. And then we went to Churchill, stayed there for about 10 years. Had the opportunity to work with Neil Hugh at Roosevelt. And then Van Fushak hired me at MacArthur High School in 2010.
Coach Van Fushak.
Yeah, so Coach Fujak. Great guy, hired me there as the offensive coordinator. He retired and I ended up getting the job, and I'll be starting my 4th year as the head coach at Mac.
That's fantastic. You guys have kind of gone through some rugged times lately. Sometimes it's tougher to be a coach in those years.
Well, you know, we had a year at Churchill where we went 0-10. And it was one of those years where we said, we coached the hardest we ever coached. And I think this past year was very similar. We went 2-8, we were very, very young. But our staff, we coached our tails off.
And the staff hung together.
No doubt. And a lot of that had to do not only with the strength of the staff, but the strength of our kids.
Okay, so you were telling me a little bit beforehand that you started a bunch of sophomores last year.
Yes, we had 10 sophomores on our roster, and we started 6. Our quarterback, Josh Young, was a sophomore, ended up starting the last 7 games because of an injury to a senior. 2,400 yards, 21 touchdowns, but he threw 11 to the other team. And so that's sort of a sophomore thing.
They don't count as completions.
Well, no, and some of those were touchdowns, so those don't count either. So we were young and inexperienced. We had 2 returning starters. This year we have 13 returning starters, but again, a lot of them are now juniors. So we're kind of in an interesting position.
Well, you know, MacArthur is in kind of a different area. It's not an inner city school, but it's close to being an inner city school. And it's right in between some really good schools, and that's a tough district.
We kind of talk about Mac as being the most normal place in the world. It's really a snapshot of San Antonio. We have the high end, the low end, and everything in between. So it's a very diverse school, and a lot of that is it is an advantage to us, but it is unique coaching there because it is so different.
Well, what are your goals this year? I mean, you're coming off a 2-8 season. What's a realistic expectation for you?
Well, last year we went 2-8. We were 1 game. We put ourselves in a win and get in scenario at the end. Of course, we had to beat Madison to get that done, and that was a tall order. So our kids actually took a lot of a lot of pride in the fact that they put themselves in that spot, but they also have high expectations for themselves. We have 13 returning starters. We have a great coaching staff, good kids who have bought in. And we believe that it does take 4 years to build a program. So we have very, very high expectations of being a playoff team this year.
From a coaching perspective and watching these kids grow, how is it to mold all of those kids together?
It's neat when you come in and a first-time head coach. You almost feel like you're opening up a school. In some senses, you take from the great tradition that was there, but then of course you try to make it your own. And so seeing these kids develop, say the things you say, do the things that you want them to do, it's very, very rewarding, especially when you see them be successful.
Tell me a little bit about your offense, what you're going to run on offense, a little bit about your defense.
We've actually changed. I've always been kind of a power guy. We changed philosophies looking at our district and have been a lot more of a spread team, kind of an air raid sort of philosophy. We've borrowed a lot from Auburn. You go look at these people and see what they can do. How do you win with maybe smaller kids? Undersized guys. And so that's what we've changed to. Defensively, we're a 4-3 team. Again, how do you play with smaller, more aggressive kids? So we're a 4-3 team, sort of a spread air raid type team. And we feel like it really fits our kids the best.
Well, Coach, I'm sure that you'll do well. I really appreciate your time today on the Padilla Poll and P Squared Sports. And Coach, good luck this season.
Thank you very much.